Hey, good evening everyone. It's Paul Daniels here with another What I Fix Daily. Today we have an old machine. This is a P4 series, so any of you who know what the P4 is will know it's definitely very old. It's come in symptoms of it was working, then stopped, and that's the end. It didn't come back up. So let's have a look. Let's see. If we have a look inside, it's actually quite clean. So I'll tilt that up. So that's pretty clean. There's a little bit of junk on the CPU fan, but overall it's certainly not what you'd expect after a decade or more. And it looks quite original. Still got the old PCI modem card in it from the days when everybody had to endure dial-up. So let's plug some power in and see what's going on. Got the VGA, keyboard and mouse, power. Okay, well, we fire up, and the rear fan stopped. Okay, that could have been just the initialization. So here we go again. And it's booting up fine. Great. That's great. Yeah. Okay, so who wants to place their bets? Oh my gosh, this is a IDE drive. We either have here a case of it's now working because it's been bumped on its way to the shop, or someone didn't quite describe the symptoms using the same terminology that we do. However, I would say it's likely a bump situation, or we have a bad cap situation. Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of these situations, because it means, oh hello, there we go, it rebooted the. Alright, what have we got? Okay. First thing I'm going to do is just turn that off. First things I'm going to do is disconnect the hard drive. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt a really strange feeling in my hand then after pulling that power cable out. It might have just been strain. Hopefully it's not heart attack. If it is heart attack, well, I guess I might be immortalized as being the guy that died fixing a Pentium 4 in 2017. Not really the way I want to be remembered. Alright, let's get this drive out. What's holding you in there? It's definitely pivot swivel. There we go. Alright, put that aside somewhere. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I found it under the hard drive. Let's have a look. Can you see what I see? That look familiar to anybody? Now, I'm not real sure what part of circuitry that bad clap applies to, but yeah, given that it's a big one, it's some sort of reasonably hefty power rail. So now I have a choice. Do I just replace that, keep things running, or what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out. I'm going to replace that cap and let the board keep running for however long, but at the same time I'm also going to copy the data off this machine onto the external USB drive. I think that'll be a fair compromise. I won't charge them for the copy of data over, because it's probably only going to be, well, how big is this drive? Is it 250? Yeah, it's a 250. There's probably not going to be a profound amount on there, and I can do that while I'm fixing the main board. Yeah, it's a bit of fun for me, nice bit of change. Alright, I'll be back later after I've talked to the customer. Okay, we've received approval to go ahead with the repair from the client, so let's get this mainboard out of here. Good old 80 wire IDE. Ow. Oh, this is one of those nice mainboards where the drive bay frames get in the way of getting the power cable out, the 24-pin power cable. And unfortunately the rear panel is not removable on this one. Not that it would really help. Okay, this even has a working floppy drive. That's quite something. Very impressed. Let's see how this fan's going to come out. Or we'll leave it there. I will point out that on P4s you probably do want to keep those fans. Not an optional item. The poor P4. Intel tried and failed with that one. And AMD took their crown, but not for long. And Intel said, whoops, we've dropped the ball there. Came back and smacked the living daylights out of AMD for the next decade and a half. I mean, I like the AMDs. I had a very nice dual Opteron machine. Noisy as, but then again it was a rack server, so being quiet isn't their primary concern. And that really had some punch to it. I'm really not even sure how this one's rigged up with me trying to get this board out. If I look at this, there's screws from the front into it, but then it's also pop riveted. So if it's pop riveted, that pretty much puts an end to that game. Alright, let's see. I will point out this is not a repair that you would normally do if you're trying to maximize your income, and say if you've got a full schedule, then you would well and truly walk away from this. But I've got a bit of a quiet schedule at the moment, which is surprising. Normally Monday, Tuesday I'm running flat out, and this is a person that could do with a little bit of just a bit of a helping hand. So I'm kind of doing this as a bit of a charity job, you might call it. I wouldn't strictly call it charity because they are still being charged, but not really as much as, let's see. I'm going to have to take a photo of the cables in here. Push come to shove, I can just look it up, but it's often easier just to take a photo. Alright, might take this RAM out. Let's see if we can't get this cable out. Swear to God, I'm worried more about something letting go and my fingers sliding nicely up against the metal. Oh, come on, sweet Bridget, man. Okay, I've got access to this cable header here. It's just an awkward angle. There we go. I have the feeling this is going to have to come out. Ah well, could do it for clean. Should check that it's fully functional too. Dare say by now the bearings might be a little bit worn. Oh man. No, it's got to come out. It's got to come out a different way. There isn't enough distance for me to lift it out the first way that I was trying there. Alright, so we have one dead cap. I will check the power supply as well to see if there's any dead caps on there. We've got 2200 microfarad, 10 volt. Oh, I've got a million of those. Mind you, mine is 16 volt, but that's okay. For this application, it's not going to matter. Alright, let's get this out of here. Let's get some electronics going. In this bag, what do we got? Oh great, it's been so long since I've opened this, it deteriorated. What do we got? 1000 microfarad, 16 volt, that's no good. I missed it by half. Definitely not you guys. Definitely not you guys, you're too big. Okay, let's try the other bag. Try the box. Oh, they're 2216s. Just a little worried the leg pitch might be a bit broad, so I can compare. I'll have a look on the other side of the board. I mean, you can put different pitches on there, but I'll just touch that cap. Oh, actually no, that's a match. We'll go with that. Fine, I'm pretty sure I don't have any 2200 10s. I'll assume not. Okay, and the marking on the cap and the marking on the board matches up, so that you can see it's negative, negative. Useful to watch out for that. Just in case you get struck one day with a board that decided not to put the markings on. This should go pretty quick. Okay, irons up temperature. Let's put a leaded solder there. I'm just rocking the cap back and forth as I heat up each leg. This one's hanging on a little. There we go. No good. You don't put a lot of force on that rocking back and forth, but you know, it's enough to slide it out when the solder is molten. Okay. My biggest problem here is that there's a lot of very fine tracks running right next to the ground, so I will have to wick it out. Rossmann flux, Amtech, what is it, 559, version 2. This is the stuff that actually smells good, even though you shouldn't be smelling it. That's good, that's gone all the way through. The flux, adding the flux just helps, even though the wick itself has some, or plenty. The extra flux just helps really pull that solder out. I don't think I got that one right. Yeah, I did not get that one right. It also could be because that is the ground plane. So I might have to give it a bit more heat. Unfortunately, I'm down to my last maybe half meter of this, so it's the wrong size wick to start with. Come on. Alright, I am not having the best of success there, so here's a little trick you can do. Sorry, I was wrong, that's actually not the ground plane, it's the positive plane. So what you do is you cut the leg that you haven't cleared the hole on a bit shorter. You line it up so you get the one through, and then you rest it into there. Seriously, this is super dodgy stuff. Alright, so you rest that leg on there. It should be just someone hasn't got it on the hole right. My leg is not touching the hole properly. Come on. Alright, that's better. Got a recess there now, a little bit of an indent, so we should be, yep. There we go, and she's through. Okay, so that's good. Let's bring it back up properly, make sure it's flush. Sitting flush, very good. Put in the rest of the solder. And good on your solder dispenser, you jammed up. Hold on to the legs when you cut them, otherwise they fly off in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Just going to touch up that leg a bit more because we pushed it through, the flux would have burnt off a bit more. Crap! Again, I've been caught out. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was my timer. And it scares the bejesus out of me each time. Alright, we're done with the soldering. Let's give it a bit of a clean up. If I can find my toothbrush. I'll be very glad once I've taken the time and invested the money into making my workbench a lot more usable. Alright, there we go. It's pretty big. It's still within the boundaries of the board specification there, where they've set the size of what they thought would be the capacitor to fit on there. Feels solid. So I think we can put that together again. and give it a bit of a test. I will check that power supply before I go too much further. Not much point doing all this and having a dud power supply as well. Unfortunately, the venting on this is too small for me to see through it, so I'll have to come off. I'm sure there's no warranty on this 15-year-old computer anymore. I'll be honest, I'm quite impressed that it's lasted this long. The person obviously took reasonably good care of it. For a moment then I thought we had some rupturing, but it's not. It's just aged splooge. And that looks pretty good. As I turn it around, try to check the reflectivity off the top of those caps. It's an easy way to see if they're bulging or not. When you get the light bouncing off the top, it's very quick to see if it's concave or convex. And that looks good. I'm happy enough with that. The fan's even still sort of pretty good. Now, let's see if I can get it back on the right way. It seems to be agreeable in that direction. So yeah, that was 5 minutes extra, but peace of mind. And again, as I said, I'm really more doing this to help someone out. A lot of the people that have these P4s usually aren't in a position to buy more, and I did not get that case back on. Look at that. Completely missed that. I mean, that hard drive is, I'm sure, scheduled to fail at some point soon, but I will keep a backup of it and put it on the external portable drive. Alright. Okay, let's get back in. Once I've got this fully assembled, I am going to take it outside and hit it with the vacuum cleaner in reverse. It's not something you do inside. If you ever do that inside, you will most definitely choke yourself. The amount of dust these things produce is quite rather horrendous. There you go, you're up. I suppose I'll test it first too. Just make sure we've got everything lined up. Looks good. There is a certain comfort in repairing old machines like this. I mean, when I say old, we're not like XT level or anything. You know, P4 is still within the realm of people know what it is. All the parts are widely available, no shortage of donor boards. In most cases you don't bother, you just upgrade the people to a new motherboard or something like that. However, in this case we have it running XP. It's not connected to the internet, just sit at home like the old days, where at best you might connect up to the modem once a week, check your emails. I'm so glad those days are over. I do love my always on connected lifestyle. Okay, floppy cable. Geez, I wonder if they even use that. I do keep a floppy drive on hand for data recovery, but it's an external USB one. Unfortunately, I haven't had the need to buy one of those high-end dedicated data recovery units. I don't know if any of you have seen them, but they're a very specialized type drive. It lets you essentially just make a map of all the magnetic properties of the drive. It's quite an intriguing little thing, but to date I've never really needed one. At best there may be a few bad sectors. I haven't encountered any jobs that needed more than a bit of DD rescuing. What am I waiting for here? I'm trying to think what I did with my memory. What did I do with the memory? Okay, let's see what I've got in here. Another 256, 256, 256, 256. Whoa, you're not meant to be in here. You're 1GB DDR2 and a 512. Well, it would seem I can bump them up to 1 gig total. Well, these are all 400 rated, which I think is no, I'm actually not entirely sure. Anyway, now this is where we refer back to my camera. Very useful. Okay, so hard drive, back left. Power switch, front, and offset. Not that it matters. What do we got over here? We've got a 3-wire. Okay, so you're there. And we've got a slightly... No, we don't have a slightly ambiguous one. We've got something that just floats in the air. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, we don't have a hard drive connected up, but I don't want one yet. So let's go for boot and see how we are. Got a green light. Fan spin. Yeah, it would help if I plug the screen in. Where did that cable go? Thanks guys, thanks for telling me. There we go. The screen's gone green. It's probably going to sit there. Okay, no boot device, good. I have to remember before it died probably within about 30 seconds to a minute of being on. I think it should be good now. It's certainly quite a bit slower than the normal machines I use these days. I did forget that fan. This one here. So I'll plug that in once I've cleaned it up. I'm suspecting the missing 16 megabytes of RAM is being allocated to the graphics. Show me you can do it. Yes, thank you. Alrighty. Well, that pretty much ends this video. So thank you very much for watching. And in summary, the machine wasn't booting properly, or at least the customer said that it wouldn't boot. We found it did boot slightly, but then reset itself, so it wasn't too different to what the customer said. And given that it was a dead cap, that's entirely possible that after hers had failed when they were watching it, that it wouldn't come up for a little while after that. So thankfully it wasn't a complicated job, though normally it's not something that you would do commercially, but because this was a bit of a a bit of a help someone out type job, I was happy to just change that cap over. It's no great big expense to me other than just some time, and I have a bit of spare time today, so it was easy enough to do. I will copy the contents of the IDE drive to a safe backup, and we're just going to hopefully see that this thing lives out another year or two until they've decided to save up and go to a new machine. So thank you again for watching. If you're looking for anything that I use, the tools and things like that, they're all down in my descriptions below, and I'll see you guys next time.